everybody. I know our scene looks a little bit different and we're a little bit late and we are sorry.
It's my fault.
But it takes a lot to set all of this up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry that you didn't get your coffee.
It's okay.
You will have to immediately go.
There will be coffee after the show, and I will bring you some coffee because I stressed this one out a little bit this morning, and I really don't like doing that. So
it's okay.
I owe her a
It's all right.
snack.
I feel like what we're going to be doing today is going to be...
it'll be super chill.
It'll be great.
Super chill.
So Sue is in Denmark right now, and she is... Let me just see here. See if anybody has some comments. So she's actually frolicking around the country of Denmark right now. So
I'm jealous because I've seen pictures of her like in front of a yarn
yes,
shop. I bet she's been riding bikes.
I haven't heard that one yet, but she sent me a picture next to an owl. So I don't know if she'll post that. If she doesn't, cool. I will. Anyway, so as our guest today, Liz, our coworker here, she is a yarn dyer and many other things. And so we are going to be dyeing some sock blanks today. So Liz is also going to be handling our kids camp this year. So the June one, we only have one spot left, and then we have July is open. But we hope that maybe this will kind of get you excited to talk to your little persons about doing camp. Now, we're not going to be doing dyeing sock blanks at that time, but we are going to be dyeing yarn and then making something with it. So this is one of last year's little projects. I know it's probably hard to see because we're so far away, but we are going to be...
come up here.
Oh, here.
Magic. All right.
Okay.
So we start with, this is the very lovely Ultra Alpaca Chunky.
Okay.
So it's a half alpaca, half wool blend. And I do like using the chunky yarn with kids. The folks at the Waldorf School who teach knitting in their curriculum say that this is the best size yarn to start kids on. So we dye it with food dye. Everything we do in kids camp is food grade, so we don't mess around with any chemicals that might get a little nasty, although mostly dye chemicals don't. And then this is one of the projects we can make a little bunny like this. We have a really good time. So we do knitting, we've done some crochet.
Yep, I have a couple kids that want to do that.
We do the loopy pot holders, so everyone gets to keep a pot holder loom and some knitting needles, and we have a good time. We may do some sewing. It depends. This year.
So it's going to be every day, Monday through Friday this time, and the hours are. Is it noon to 4?
I thought it was 1 to 4.
Okay, 1 to 4. We'll check, but it's on the. It
should
definitely
be 3 hours. We did 4 hours last year, and it was a little too much for the kids and a little too much for the instructor too. So, but I have a really good time with it. I work with kids I'm a court-appointed special advocate in my other parts of my life.
That's
outside
CASA.
of CASA, yeah. So I do work with kids quite a bit. I have a great time doing it. It's really fun.
Sort of like a big kid and then little kids is kind of how that works.
It's really fun.
And I'm sorry if I didn't say right away, but I'm Linda, and normally it's Linda and Sue from the Yarn Bar, but today it's Linda and Liz. It's the double L's.
Yeah.
Well, let's get right into it so everybody can have fun.
Yeah.
I don't have any idea what she's going to make me do. I didn't bring an apron, so I hope all is good.
Yeah.
So.
Well, one thing I did want to go over really quickly. This is what a sock blank looks like when it's all done, and you can do all kinds.
Well, what is a sock blank?
A sock blank is, and it is so called because it uses sock yarn. It is a piece of yarn, and this is like a full skein's worth. So my skeins are 115 grams because they're 4-ounce American skeins.
Okay.
So it's a full skein's worth of yarn that has been knitted up like this, and then you put the dye on it.
But let's say you got the yarn and then you must have split it into two.
I actually work off of
the inside and
big
outside?
factory combs when I
okay.
make these. But you could do it that way if you wanted to make one by hand.
And you have a knitting machine.
And I own a knitting machine like from the infomercials in the 80s where you sit there and go like that. I remember infomercials for knitting machines.
And I feel like this is how a lot of people make gradient yarns.
It's a great way to make gradient yarn.
I don't know any other way that you could do it.
Great way to, there are some other ways you can do it. This is probably the easiest way. This is a great way to do a self-striping yarn if you want to experiment with that. One of the things I really love about the sock blank is that yes, there are some techniques you can kind of only do with a sock blank, but it's a really versatile tool to try out all kinds of yarn dyeing techniques that are really fun.
Well, I've seen some really fun sock blanks like up on the interweb where they actually paint like a landscape or like a little portrait of a little bunny or like that. So it's really cute. So really you don't have any idea of how it might turn out, and I really don't know any idea how this will turn out either. It might be a little stripey.
This one is probably going to be kind of space dyed.
Oh, okay.
Maybe some stripes. I don't know. This one it was a little bit of a tie-dye thing. I actually folded it up into triangles. But one thing that also people wonder about is how you start a sock blank. And this is a 2-strand sock blank, and so there's a
how can you tell what end is the right
well,
end to undo?
on my blanks I have tucked the bottom end in.
Okay.
So there is only one end.
Oh, okay.
And it has 2 yarns, and I'm gonna undo this one a little bit just so you can see it. And I just take a darning needle like this. And so what I've done, these very top stitches here, which will be hard to see, but anyone in the shop can help you start a sock blank. I unpick these, and then these are
unravel,
these are live stitches here.
So you would want to unravel into 2 balls, probably.
Or if you're making something where you're not worried about the yarn being wrinkly, and particularly if you're working on a pretty small needle, because this blank is made as though it's on like a size 7 or size 8 needle. So if you're knitting socks, you can actually cast on 2 socks right off the blank.
Oh, yeah,
you don't have to unravel them into a ball at all.
But I did have a fun idea while you were chatting.
Yeah.
If you did undo them, it'd be fun to, if you were knitting them together, to knit one from the beginning and one from the end.
That would be fun. That would be fun. And that definitely, you would have to undo the whole ball to be able to do that.
Right. I remember from one vendor, their gradients were really curly, so I knew that's probably
how they did it. Yeah. So yeah, these are really, really fun and kind of one of a kind, and I really enjoy.
And we sort of talked about, and hopefully we're going to do that this summer, is have a big person class doing these.
Yes, we will. It's honestly my schedule. It's finding the days in the year to do it. So
hopefully you'll find one day in the whole year that you can do that.
It's
okay. So now
schedule it.
That's kind of discussed what they are. So how do we do it?
How do we do
it? What is our plan?
What I have done at home ahead of time with the movie magic is
movie magic.
Movie magic.
I don't think this is going to be edited like movie magic.
No, but that's okay. This is where you have like a casserole already done in the oven.
Right.
So we are going to do a little bit of protective equipment. So these are just nitrile gloves. I think I got these at Harbor Freight. So, I don't particularly...
Thank you for getting size small.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've had to work with like ginormous gloves.
And I'm going to go ahead and put my lab coat on, and so hopefully I will do...
And hopefully I won't need
more
one.
Messy stuff here. So, can be Dr. Elizabeth Zott now instead of Elizabeth Sloper.
Now I have to get it on my hand. Okay.
There is a trick. And now I tell you. There you go. You got it. You got it.
I'm gonna wear these all day because they look really glamorous.
They are so glamorous. So glamorous. Alright. So what I have here is, this is an undyed sock blank.
It's pretty squishy.
It's pretty squishy, and what I did this morning with it was I soaked it in fairly hot water. Didn't squish it.
Why fairly hot water? Because they usually say that yarn it might felt in fairly hot
so
water.
you need 3 things to felt yarn. You need heat,
Agitation.
friction, agitation, and moisture. And of all of them, friction is the feltiest.
Okay.
Friction's the worst. This is superwash yarn, and I've worked with it a fair bit.
Okay, so it's not what we are using for this.
No,
Okay,
that
all
stuff
right,
will
I got you.
felt.
Right.
Yeah, this
Right.
stuff will felt. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put my gloves on.
Do we need like a tray or something?
I think.
Well, you've got your little tub.
Yeah, I've got my dish pan, and I think what we will do is. I have a messy towel in here. This is one of the other really important things that you need
It's a
to
very
dye
important,
yarn.
Yes.
Is your
A
old
towel that doesn't
old
have
towels.
embroidered
No.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah,
Which
unless-
my husband used to change oil in his car shortly after we got married.
That's like my husband used the fabric scissors to open the box that one of our TVs came in. We're still married. Alright, so this thing is pretty waterlogged in. This water has, this is about a quart of water and has half a tablespoon of citric acid in it. So,
Gonna take something away for you? Can I be your assistant?
Yeah, you can go ahead and close up that bag. So, and a gallon bag, if you're using professional acid dyes like we're using here, we're using Dharma and Jacquard dyes today, you don't want to use your food equipment on these dyes. So, if you just want to try it out, food dye in a plastic bag is a great way to do that.
Are we going to use that again?
We are
Okay.
gonna lay this out. I think we will move these guys. Move this one.
Okay. Do we need any more plastic? Or are we good?
I think we'll be okay.
Okay, let me move the computer over here. This
So,
way.
so when these are wet, they're kind of big and stretchy like this, and so I'm just gonna lay this out on our plastic.
So you've already put it on the machine.
Yep.
I gotta, hang on, I'll be right back.
Yeah. And today, what I've got are some blacklight UV sensitive yarn dyes.
So what that means is it's glow in the dark.
These will glow in the dark. And I don't, maybe next week. Or maybe later on this week. Actually, tomorrow, on Wednesday when I'm here, maybe we can take a peek at it. So, I've got all my dye here in these little squeeze bottles. They're really nice. You can use whatever old or Dollar Tree measuring cups you have. And then I have some really inexpensive, like, kids' paintbrushes. And these are just little pipettes.
Yep.
And some plain water, too. So I like to start, and then we have actually kind of a whole rainbow. I have a red, I have magenta, purple. I have 2 kinds of blue. So there technically is no UV fluorescent blue. So I have some regular blue that I've diluted a bunch. And this is actually a blue mixed with a transparent fluorescent pigment. It's very fancy. And then I got some green. And there's our yellow.
Okay.
So this is the fun part. You can do you could do like diagonal stripes, and that'll give you kind of a space dye look. I like drawing like geometric shapes, then kind of moving rainbows through those shapes. And it is almost June, so I'm thinking maybe we do some neon geometric rainbow. So kind of the way that I like to do this, and I can use the squeeze tube but a lot of dye comes out when I do it this way, and I have a little bit more control over it when I do use the pipette, and I like that. So what I like to do is kind of draw some shapes on here, and these are sort of going to be my basic shapes, and I like to start with the yellow because it's the lightest color. It's the one that's most likely to get covered up.
Okay.
And maybe even kind of disappear.
So you mean you'd want it to disappear?
Not necessarily want it to disappear, but if I do something foolish like that and squirt it in the wrong place,
and oopsies.
It's a lot easier to work over that. And yes, I did just squirt some dye on here in a strange spot on purpose. But you know, I had an art teacher once in elementary school who always told me that artists don't mess up, they fix up.
Okay. He's kind of a Bob Ross kind of guy.
Yeah. Mrs. McQueen, man. Bloomington, Indiana. It'd be kind of amazing if she's watching this. I'm sure she's not, but it would be kind of
You'll
amazing.
have to send her a link.
I will.
Okay. What do I get to do?
Well, what color do you want to work with?
I want to work with green.
You want to do some green? Okay, so this is...
Because I know it would look really good on my outfit.
So this is called radioactive green. And this is a fun one. It is pretty... It looks kind of drab right now. But once we, like, lay it out and mix it in, and once it spreads a little bit, it actually will brighten up and be like a nice neon-y chartreusey green. And we can even...
I'm going to move the camera in a little bit closer.
Squirt some water on it.
To look at everything. Get a...
So if she's going to go green, I'm going to go the other direction. I'm going to start making some oranges, I think. So if you want to work maybe on like the outside of the squares, and I'm going to make some oranges.
There we go.
On the inside of the squares.
Okay, green, green, green.
And this is really the sit and play and have fun part. It's pretty, you know, you can be systematic about it, and there is value in that. But I really enjoy the let's just play around and see what happens part too. So I've got some bright, this is a really fun bright red here.
Okay.
And
so have you had any like big flops where you're like, oh my god, this is the worst thing I've ever done?
I have made some things that I didn't like. but but honestly, some of them
like
sold.
I feel like everything, I mean, I've done a little tiny bit of dyeing, but it's been within like a few classes. Sorry, no one can see me, but it always turns to mud. Whatever I think is going to look good together, it usually blends to just look like mud. Like, so I know dyeing is just so much different than, you know, picking out your clothes to wear at home.
It's a little different too from paint, right? Because like in paint we have more details to work with. Like, is this like, is this a granulating paint or a dye?
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And what I will say is that if you keep colors next to each other that that mix
like
nicely. So like
right.
keep your red next to your yellow.
Right.
Don't
right.
put it on the green. That kind of can help. But also, I almost exclusively work with single pigment dyes. I rarely work with dyes that are pre-mixed colors. And so a couple of these are pre-mixed. My like the orange and the purple happen to be pre-mixed, but like for the most part, I'm working with.
Okay, so now if I worked with blue,
Mm-hmm.
that'd be good for me to do outside.
I would put some blue
okay,
in.
I'm gonna give this back to you.
Yeah, and I would go. So the neon blue is gonna be really pale, and this will be a little darker. So I would start with the light one, and then
I can work just from this.
You can work right from that little bottle. You may want me to pull that top off though, because it can.
Because then my outfit would be blue.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm gonna grab my trusty old
I'm
towel
gonna sit
here.
for a second.
Here and do that. And for that matter, we could both sit and both be back in frame. So yeah, this bottle's okay.
It's kind of on the screen. It looks like spring flowers.
One thing that's nice too that you can do if you don't want this to like squirt across the room when you use these little bottles, I just put my fingertip on here like this and then turn it upside down.
Okay.
And that
okay.
will drip in
okay.
a lot more slowly.
Okay.
And you'll have quite a bit more control. There you go. Looking good. And so we just...
Ooh, we're just having fun. We should have some music.
Yeah. But yeah, this is like when I'm at home, you know, I'm usually listening to a book or got some music on.
It's like a canvas. You don't have as much control.
Yeah, like. And the die does move, and I think learning how the die moves and making friends with how the die moves is definitely
part. Is this good to do?
Yeah, that's great to do. Now, just be careful. The only thing to be careful about when you do that is that you will mix colors too if you do that.
Right. I'm trying to stay in the blue.
You can also
because I don't want to. I'm going to use it all.
You can use it all. That's okay. You can also take a paintbrush like this and kind of mix it in like that. And then we'd have a couple choices here. So I've already put the acid in this one.
Yeah.
So this dye is going to adhere to this yarn.
I think it looks gorgeous on our screen.
It does look great. I love it.
It kind of looks like a flower garden. What do you guys think?
I love it. I'm into the flowers. And so I forgot what I was going to say. Haha.
It'll come to you.
Yes. Oh, yes. So I've already added acid to this.
Right.
So this dye, even though there's no heat, it's already starting to adhere. To this.
Okay, I'm going to use this up.
Yeah, go for it. And then I think we could fill in some of those areas with the darker blue.
Okay.
And
bam, done.
Bam. Wham, bam.
I'm like Emerald Lagasse. Bam.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
That's cool.
This is a lot. Yeah, I mean, this is really fun. This is
I know everyone would want to do this. I know it.
This is like come and play with your food time. When I worked in the food industry, and
I think I want magenta. Don't you think magenta?
Yeah, I would go for some magenta.
Okay.
For sure. There's the magenta.
And do I need to just use this?
Yeah, I would go for that. That's going to be fairly powerful.
Okay.
So, and if you really want some good purples, we'll drip some dark blue on there
I don't
afterwards.
Want to put it by the green, except I did.
But you know, even the browns, I've noticed in these dyes, they're really pretty friendly to work with, and you get some nice. I've found something to like about everything I've made, even if it didn't turn out quite like how I envisioned it. So
okay.
But this is also a good exercise for embracing
I can do it here, right?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yep. This is so much fun, you guys. Whoops, there's a bloop.
Yeah, but you know what? I've got some of this regular purple, and I can just come in here and put
somebody want in?
No, I think that was the HVAC.
Well, okay, you keep going.
Yay! sorry, retail customers. It's all my fault. And here I am kind of going for how these bottles can be sort of messy sometimes, so I'm getting...
Oh, are you? Okay. You're okay? Yep. Okay. There you go. All right. Have a great day. Yeah.
Oh, it was our wonderful letter carrier. I love our letter carriers. We have wonderful letter carriers. Got my collar all popped. I'm really not that cool. Gotta fix it. So I added some purple in.
Okay.
I'm really
Alright.
liking this. This
Okay.
is kind of fun and wild.
So, just for expediency's sake,
Mm-hmm.
pretend we're done.
Yeah.
And what are we gonna do with this now?
So now we have to heat it to fix the dye on here.
Okay.
Okay. And there's a few different ways you could do that. We could let it sit for several hours because there is acid in here.
Right.
So over time, the dye will blend a little bit. We might
but
get
probably
some breaking.
we are not because the
Yeah,
shop's gonna
I
be
could
open.
take it home.
So yeah.
When I do this at home, I have big pieces of plastic wrap and I actually fold them up like Subway sandwich style, and then I steam them in a steamer basically. You can use a microwave.
Is that something that you could do after we stop the video, and then we could have?
Yeah.
I could still kind of video you doing it.
Sure.
Okay.
We could set
all
that
right.
up.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah. And yeah, that'd be a great little Instagram post later on in the week.
Would.
I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then the other question here too, right now, is that we've still got some white yarn here,
Right.
and there's always kind of a decision. Do you want to have some white yarn spots, or do you want to get color?
Me, I
everywhere?
like little white. I like some white. I feel, to me personally, I like having some white because it's a kind of a reminder of what your canvas looked like before you start. I don't know, that's just...
Yeah.
My husband doesn't like white stuff left on his canvas, so...
I usually don't either.
I mean,
But-
I guess it depends on the artwork.
It depends on the artwork. It depends on what you're excited about.
Right.
I think, so I've got some of this darker blue, and I'm going to come in here on the edges
Okay,
and
alright.
put a little bit of this in here. We'll get some fun greens here where we
There, I think I'm done.
mix this in.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that we are going to continue this process off the YouTube camera, but I will continue to video what we do, and we can post that later. So I am really excited that we got to do this.
Yeah.
I want you to think about kids camp for your kids. We just put a couple of new classes up too. We have a s'mores amigurumi. I don't want to touch it right now, but
that sounds
it's super
adorable.
I know, it's like, it's so cute. Anyway, so so just thanks a lot for hanging out with us, and you continue. I will go turn the camera off, and you guys all have a great day. We'll see you next week. Becky is going to be our guest next week.
I'm excited. That sounds fabulous.
All right. Well,
I'm gonna do some.
see you later.